What's up, guys? Hope you're having a great day. Just wanted to do a little comparison video for you guys while I had both of these knives in my hands. So we have two versions of the Native 5, the lightweight version and the G10 version. Both of these knives have the exact same steel, S35VN, and both backlock designs. Only difference is their handle construction and materials. So you can see here, this is the lightweight version with the FRN CP that Spyderco is using now on their handles, which is a little bit different than standard FRN. It's more of a copolymer, I believe. And this knife has no liners and doesn't even have any washers in there, believe it or not. So on this pivot, they just have just a plastic handle with kind of like a raised lip, and the blade just rides directly on that. But I did notice that the blade tang on this knife is like almost mirror polished, so that might be part of their plan there with making this knife smooth without you know, any washers in there. So very interesting. Light knife, not a very big knife. I would say the edge is, I think, about 2.5 inches of cutting length maybe there on the edge. And of course they have this choil here, which you can choke up on for smaller tasks, but honestly with a knife that is this small anyways, I don't really know how useful that is to begin with. You can see here, I have, I don't know, I guess large size hands. I wear large size gloves, but my hands aren't like huge. But you can see here the handle is just barely long enough for me to get a good grip on this knife. My pinky's kind of fallen off a little bit there on the end. Kind of wish the handle was a little bit longer. Overall, ergonomically, comfort-wise, I would say this knife it's okay. It's not great. You know, if you have smaller hands, maybe it's good for you. But for me, it's just a little too small, this particular design. I think I'd probably be more interested in something like a Delica, to be honest, that has a little bit bigger handle, a little bit thinner blade, you know, not quite as chunky for EDC uses. So let me show you guys the G10 version, which again is an identical knife, except that it has full steel liners, which are skeletonized, but maybe you can see that in camera. Let me see here if I can show you guys a little better. There you go. Skeletonized steel liners. Also has a steel backspacer here, which the other knife doesn't have. Fit and finish on this is very nice though. You can see all the lines there, the grinds are nice and smooth and flush. This is a Golden, Colorado produced knife, as is the lightweight. And the fit and finish is pretty good. I have to say though, out of box, this knife was extremely stiff. I had to do a little bit of washer polishing on it, and I actually had to polish up the little tang on the lock bar for the lock back. You know, because that rubs on the tang of the knife as you open and close it. There's a little hook kind of, actually you can see it there. So this part right here, you can see this face, which is facing this way, rides on the tang of the knife, you know, all the way when you open and close it. And I don't know if that had a burr on it or if it was just, you know, a little too big from the factory or whatever, but it was super stiff. I could barely, you know, get the action to work on it, but now it's not too bad. I think if I even kind of flick it, I can, you know, get this open and closed one-handed. Let me see the comparison for the lightweight. Not quite as good. Not quite as good as action on this, guys, as the G10, but again, I did a little bit of spa work on this G10 knife. This is actually a knife that I purchased for myself that I was interested in. Wanted to try something out that was kind of economical with the S35 VN steel, and actually got a good deal on this G10 one on a secondary market, so didn't pay full price on this one, thankfully, which is what we'll talk about in a second here. Something else I just noticed, that the pocket clips on these knives are different. You can see that there. Similar, but the overall shape is different, the screw placement's different. A little bit different finish. One other detail I noticed that was a little bit different between these knives is the amount of effort that it takes to kind of depress this lock bar seems to be a little bit less on the lightweight compared to the G10. Well, actually, now they feel about the same. Maybe that's not as much as I thought. But, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of lockbacks to begin with. My thumb is kind of sore for messing with this knife for a couple of hours of, trying to get the action on this knife really nice. With a lot of the other lock designs on the market today, I don't know. I'd even prefer probably something like a liner lock over a lock back, or compression lock, ball bearing lock, axis lock, something like that. They're just easier to manipulate. But lockbacks aren't bad. They're good working knives. If you're not trying to flip them too much, they work just fine. If you're only opening and closing your knife, 5 times a day, it's not really a concern for you. But if you're somebody who likes to play with your knives, another lock design might be better for you. So I imagine a lot of you guys are probably wondering, which knife is the better value, which one would you rather have? And honestly, I would say that the FRN model is the better value. Obviously because it's cheaper, but also just in terms of functionality of what you get. Functionally, these are the same knife. They're going to cut the same, they're going to work the same for you. With the G10 model, you're just getting, maybe a little better fit and finish, nicer materials. But overall, it's the same knife. So currently, the lightweight models, I believe, retail for about $80 online. And you can find these G10 models for about $132, I think. So that's quite a bit of difference. So you're paying $50 more for G10 handles, and these steel liners and the backspacer and a slightly different pocket clip. And personally, if you love the Native, a little bit smaller knife, that's your thing, that's awesome, more power to you. But you have to realize, I'm not exactly sure what Spyderco is thinking in their marketing with this particular line, because right now, paramilitary 2s go for about $122 brand new. And this is a smaller knife, made in the same factory, very similar steel, S35 VN versus S30V, and costs $10 more than a paramilitary 2, and honestly, I would rather have a paramilitary 2. Just one little note, guys, I read a lot about steels and things like that. Maybe some of you guys aren't quite as familiar with steels. You may think, S35 VN, 35 is a bigger number than 30, and has more letters after it. It must be a better steel, than S30V. And honestly, it can be kind of misleading. So S35 VN is very similar to S30V, but from everything that I've read, and I think I even had some comments from Sal Glesser on one of the forums, that he said, their S35 VN actually has less edge retention than their S30V does, which makes sense because I believe it is a slightly less vanadium content than S30V. But in trade-off, S35 VN is a little bit tougher, I believe, a little bit stronger. and it is easier to machine. So it's a little bit less wear on their grinders, sanders, things like that. So a little bit easier to sharpen perhaps too. Honestly, I can't say I've noticed really much of a difference between S30V and S35VN. So there you have it, guys. Just a quick comparison video. If you guys are on the fence about, which knife to get, if you're looking for bang for your buck, definitely go with the lightweight model. If you, just like the Native, want to collect it, the G10 is a very nice knife. It's just for the amount of money, I think I'd rather, get something else in the Spyderco lineup. So, hope you guys liked this video. Please let me know if you guys like these comparison type videos. I'd be happy to do more of them for you. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks.